Welcome to the first episode of National Social Justice Radio with your host, Daniel Gibbons, the broadcast dedicated to the achievement of social justice. For our first episode, we will be discussing the matter of a national bank in light of the controversial policy suggestion brought about by Senator Fraser Anning for the establishment of a not-for-profit national bank that will issue interest-free loans. In the eyes of some, this has been considered irresponsible and impossible, but in the eyes of others, it is considered a salvation. I will be discussing today the virtues of such a system, and furthermore discussing why the suggestion is necessary and beneficial for the Australian economy. To begin, I will need to discuss some preliminary points regarding our modern system and how it functions, and why, in light of this, the modern system is exploiting us. Then, proceeding from this explanation, I will explain how our national bank will be a great service to all Australians. I will note that my explanation of the system will not necessarily reflect the system to be implemented by Senator Anning, as there has been no formally released policy on this yet. However, I'm confident it will look very similar. First matter for us to discuss today is the function of the modern financial system, so that we may then proceed to explain the replacement of it possible by the establishment of a national bank. Money is created in the modern economy by the extending of loans by private commercial banks. To explain, consider the following scenario. You wish to purchase a home, but you do not have the money required to do so. You go to the bank so that you may borrow the necessary funds to afford to purchase the home. The bank agrees to lend you the money, but rather than taking the money from their reserves, the bank instead creates the money by creating a deposit account in your name on their books, which is then credited with the necessary funds to afford the home. In other words, the bank creates money every time it lends money. Discussion on this matter, as well as empirical evidence, is provided by economist Richard A. Werner at the Centre for Banking, Finance and Sustainable Development at Southampton Business School. This understanding falls into what is called the credit creation theory. However, to call it merely a theory, in my opinion, is disingenuous. Werner explains that when banks lend money, they do not withdraw funds from their existing cash reserves in order to finance the loan, but instead a whole new asset is created. That is, the loan owed by the borrower to the bank, which is then balanced by the creation of a liability. That is, the money lent by the bank to the borrower. The bank then charges interest on this money they created out of nothing and siphon real dollars from the works of the borrower. When principal in the loan is paid back, that is to say the amount of the loan without interest, the money is destroyed. Interest charged on top of the loan, however, is kept by the bank. Interest is real productive money earned through productive activity that is unnecessarily taken from the borrower as a fee for the service of the bank offering money it created. This method of money creation, when used in excess, leads to an issue of compounding debt. As money is lent into the economy, the demand on money increases as the need for interest payments creates an artificial demand for cash. Over 97% of the global economy's money is created by debt, meaning that all of this money has the pressure of interest payments placed upon it. To explain this more simply, picture a box containing $3. You borrowed $35 from the bank and deposited your $35 into the box. The box now contains $38. Another friend of yours borrows $22. The box now containing $60 after your friend also put the money into the box. Another friend borrows $40, the box now containing $100. Yourself and your two friends each borrowed the money at an interest rate of 1%. That means in order to pay back your whole loan, you will need to take out your original $35 plus $3.50 interest. Your first friend will need to take out $22 and $2.20 interest. Your second friend $40 and $4 interest. The problem is that in total, you and your friends will need to pull out $106.70 out of the box that only contains $100. Now, of course, not everyone is trying to pull money out of the box at once in a normal economy. However, the given example explains most simply why debt is an eternal spiral and why it is impossible for the world to be debt-free so long it is shackled to interest. It explains adequately why credit crunches can be devastating for an economy, because it leads to a shortage of cash within the economy, which leads to loan defaults and bankruptcies. In short, the modern system is built entirely upon misery. It is impossible to escape debt in the modern system. Even the debt-free individual is indirectly indebted, as his job and money exists only because of the debt of somebody else. The entire nation is mortgaged to the banks, who profits immensely from the perpetuation of this modern system that guarantees them endless business. So now, having adequately explained the modern system, we can discuss the alternate system, a national bank that services interest-free loans. This system enables the nation to liberate itself completely from debt and interest slavery and does not rely upon the constant issuing of debt in order to pay back debt. If we use the aforementioned scenario, never is more money than what's available required to be withdrawn from the box, allowing sustainable and normal productive growth and the removal of the need for endless debt. As we have already discussed, banks issue loans through the creation of money. This means that a national bank will operate exactly the same way. There will be no need to worry about the financing of the loans, as the loans will simply be made of created money. In turn, when loans are paid back to the national bank, the entire of the amount is destroyed. This means inflation will be controlled and will be very minimum at best, allowing for real growth in the economy. With no profit incentive, the only intentions of the national bank will be issuing productive loans and keeping inflation low. This will ensure that the bank doesn't permit excess lending and foolish practices, because it would be contrary to its interests and provide no monetary gain, unlike in the modern system. It will allow the economy to expand sustainably and grow in accordance to its ability to be productive. This end would be the only intention of the national bank. It will remove usury from the financial system, undercutting the profiteering performed by the banking system off of the hard-sweated labour of the common Australian. It will undercut the influence the banks possess over our politics, as their power to create and lend money is taken from them. The people will be given greater say over their government with the elimination of the influence of banking finance, of whom influences parties through donations and lending. Proof of this found in the Australian Electoral Commission's donor disclosures. It can be concluded that the modern system of finance presents dangers to the health of Australia, but the establishment of a national bank single-handedly wipes out these dilemmas. In the next episode, we will discuss how the national bank may be integrated directly into the functions of the economy, and then further discuss how industrial relations may be reformed to better enable sustainable and powerful economic growth that delivers stronger wages and better economic justice. That's it from National Social Justice Radio. I'm your host, Daniel Gibbons, and be sure to join us again in the next episode.